Sometimes when it comes to these wild card round playoff games, you'll get some really good games. Then you'll get some really bad, boring clunkers or just kind of snooze fest, one-sided blowout affairs. But then, every once in a while, you get the splendor of the majesty of the train wreck that was the Buffalo Bills versus the Houston Texans yesterday. My God, this thing was addicting. You just couldn't take your eyes off of it. You just couldn't peel yourself away from it. Like, when I think about good and I think about bad, then you also think about those things that are so bad and so train wrecky, so car crashy, that you can't divert your attention from it. You're transfixed. Your eyes are locked in. You're zoomed in. It's laser focused. It's all systems go. You love every minute of it, and you want more. And by God, I can't remember the last time a wild card round playoff game had all of the elements that this Bills and Texans game did yesterday. Fantastic. The first half, it's dominated by the Buffalo Bills. They come out on the first drive. Josh Allen's throwing, Josh Allen's running, and all of a sudden it's Josh Allen catching a freaking throw from John Brown, who looks like he's never thrown a football in his life. And in goes Josh Allen for the touchdown. It's 7-0 within 3.5 minutes. And you're saying, oh, Houston Texans laying an egg in the wild card round. Because of course they do. Bill O'Brien going to do some of his Bob things, that's for sure. And it certainly didn't change in the first half. Deshaun Watson was sloppy. The Houston Texans defense was sloppy. And here are the Bills methodically doing things. And before you know it, we get to the half, and the Bills are up 16-0 against the AFC South champions in Houston. And you're sitting there talking about Bill O'Brien's got to be fired after this game. He has no business being their head coach and general manager anymore, almost like he strategically tried to give himself additional job security by saying to the ownership of the Houston Texans, ha-ha, if you want to fire me now, not only do you have to fire the head coach, you also have to fire the general manager. Like, the Texans were down 16-0. You've got Booger McFarland talking all types of crap on commentary throughout the entirety of the first half and the game in general, and I love it, and I want more. You guys can criticize and knock and bitch about Booger McFarland. You're not going to ruin this for me, damn it. Taking the absolutely obvious and most mundane and simple and incredibly over-explaining it to the point where it doesn't make any sense. That's my commentator. That's my booger, and you're not going to pick it out of the nose hairs of my freaking football viewing experience. Like later in the game, advocating for the Bills. Advocating for the Bills on third down to run a quick draw and then get up there and spike the ball. You wanted to spike the ball on fourth down. Like, this is the epitomization, the crystallization of everything that was majestic about this game. So for all the domination that the Bills had in the first half and all of the crap that you saw to the Houston Texans in the first half, not up to and including the fact that apparently, if you didn't know, J.J. Watt plays for the Houston Texans because those ESPN ABC cameras, that's all they seem to be transfixed on, even if the Texans did something offensively. Look at fearless leader J.J. Watt orchestrated that play. You know, that's the type of vibe you got out of this. Some Kim Jong-un, North Korea state-run media crap. And I loved it. I loved every bit of it. And then here comes the second half. And the Bills start choking. Josh Allen doing Josh Allen things. He did some good things in the first half, but in the second half, oh baby, did he suck. And here come the Houston Texans marching back. J.J. Watt with the big sack. Starts the momentum rolling. All of a sudden, here comes Deshaun Watson. He catches fire a little bit. And before you know it, you're like, this is actually going to happen. The Bills are going to blow this 16-point lead and they're going to lose this game. And they did lose. They did lose the 16-point lead. All of a sudden you turn around and look. The Texans are... I can't even. The Texans are in the lead. You're like, this game should be long since over. If Josh Allen and the Bills offense, and specifically coordinator Brian Daboll, were trying to find ways to screw the pooch and hand it over to the Texans, and if Bill O'Brien was any quality of competent head coach at all, they'd be beating the brakes off the Bills by 3 touchdowns. But here are the Houston Texans. They've come back, and now they've got the lead. And then, late in the game, 4th and less than a yard, instead of kicking a field goal to go up 6, Bill O'Brien and the Texans decide to go for it. And the fact of the matter is I didn't have that much of a problem with the play call to go for it. What I had a problem with was that they took their 6'2" quarterback, who isn't that big, and tried to sneak him up the middle of a really stout Buffalo Bills defense. So, of course, it only makes sense that the Bills get the ball back, and now we're back in business, baby. And then Josh Allen scrambles out, gets a big game, and instead of just going down an understanding clock, an understanding situation, even though earlier in the game he had a play where he almost fumbled, but his knee was down first. Then in the second half, he had a fumble that did hurt his team, that did sit there and cost his team some momentum. Now, under a minute to go, your team's driving, trying to get a tying field goal or a winning touchdown. Here's Josh Allen running the ball, and all of a sudden he's getting tackled. Whee! Running commando of this bitch, balls slapping everywhere. He says, I don't give a crap. Dawson Knox has to sit there and knock the damn lateral out of bounds. I mean, I could go on and on with analyzing this game and all the train wreck elements that were there for both teams. The Bills getting into position and then getting really conservative in their play calling. The freak of, 4th and 27 or whatever the hell it was after the intentional. Just, you could go on and on and on. But here, the Bills get in position. Bam, it's a field goal. Tie ball game. We're going to overtime. The NFL has to sit there and delay the start of the Titans-Patriots game. I was hoping for 10 overtimes. I wanted Midnight Madness. I wanted Titans and Patriots to start at like 12:30, 2 hours past Tom Brady's bedtime. Magnificent. And then in overtime, you got Josh Allen 6 yards short of the first down, trying to hurdle the damn defender. Bill O'Brien takes the penalty. That was called that play accepted. And I'm just like, I almost hope the Bills get the first down here because it would be so perfect and so fitting. And sadly, they didn't. And if you're going to say, well, he took the penalty because they knocked him on a field goal range, Josh Allen got tackled like the damn 40. All of a sudden, Hauschka's going to make that 57-yard field goal. Give me a break. The point is I wanted more and more and more. And I thought we were possibly going to get that second overtime. But then Deshaun Watson, with the spectacular play. He's got 2 Bills defenders bearing down on him. They both get good, clean shots on him. He's able to roll out, dump the ball off, big play. And what's the most fascinating about this, and the way this ended, instead of the Texans trying to run more plays, potentially scoring a touchdown, or even wanting to risk potentially having another snap. Once they got into this mess of figuring it all out, they brought in the field goal unit and they said, screw this. The ball through the uprights, and the Texans win. This game was so much of so many things and so many emotions. Like even Saturday, for once, I don't do it anymore. As I get older, I just don't do it. I actually slept in. I think woke up at like 10:30, 11 a.m. So, like, I'm full of energy and everything and like that. But after this game, I was cashed out. And frankly, a lot of you were emotionally spent too. People were nowhere near as excited for Titans-Patriots and what could be potentially the end of a dynasty and potentially the end of Tom Brady's career in New England or potentially the end of Tom Brady's career, period. significantly less interested, it felt like, than what was going on between the freaking Bills and the Texans. It was majestic. So now if you're the Bills, good season comes to a disappointing end. A lot of fingers that can be pointed here on both sides of the ball. How did the offense get shut down in the second half? How did the defense get torched up a little bit in the second half? And for the Houston Texans, they lived to fight another day. Whoopity-doo, Bill O'Brien won a freaking wild card round game. Yeehaw! That'd probably give him a 5-year extension for that dumb organization. You're just sitting there the whole time watching this game, and I know I was. There had to be other people thinking about it too. Like, the transfixed by J.J. Watt. You realize J.J. Watt's towards the end of his career. Do you really want to waste the rest of his years of his career with Bill O'Brien as his head coach? All of a sudden, you're going to be looking. DeAndre Hopkins, Nuke's already like going to be 28 this year, I believe. So you want to waste the rest of his pick years under Bill O'Brien and this foolishness and this insanity? Do you want Deshaun Watson to be looking around in 7 or 8 years? All of a sudden, he's on the wrong side of 30 with his skills declining, and he looks and he's got nothing to show for it because he wasted some of his most important years with some of the team's best players under Bill O'Brien? Like, this is almost one of these games that, if anything, even though the Houston Texans won, it's summarized perfectly by Bill O'Brien, both the head coach and the general manager should be fired. And, Sean McDermott doesn't escape blame and criticism here. When you play scared and you play not to lose, like a Greg Norman, what happens? You choke. And that's exactly what the hell happened here. Great Texans comeback that they almost choked away. Great opening first half for the Bills that they choked away. I call this game the Jameis Winston Invitational because it has to fit what the Jameis Winston experience is for Buccaneers fans. You have good and spectacular. You have absolutely horrible. You have one moment to the next. You don't know what the hell is going to happen, but you know what you are? You're transfixed. You're entertained. You find yourself wanting more. You can't take your eyes off of it. That's exactly what this game was like. It was like the Jameis Winston experience on freaking steroids, and I loved it. And I want more, more, more.